We hear all the time about how brilliant AI is, right? It makes these smart recommendations, these incredibly accurate predictions. But behind all of that, there's a hidden story. It's the story of the data it was trained on. And let me tell you, it's not some sterile, clean laboratory process. It's more like an epic adventure, complete with monsters to fight and a huge transformation at the end. Today, we're going to follow that data on its hero's journey.
In the world of data science, there's this mantra you'll hear over and over and over again. Garbage in, garbage out. It's basically the golden rule. And what it means is you can have the most powerful, most sophisticated algorithm in the world, but if you feed it junk data, well, you're going to get junk results. It's really that simple, and it's absolutely critical to remember.
So that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? We expect AI to be smart, to be fair, to be on the money with its predictions. But what happens when the raw material we give it, the data, is just a total mess, full of errors, weird inconsistencies, just junk? What does it actually take to turn that messy data into a hero that's ready to train a powerful AI?
This is what we call our data's call to adventure. It's that moment of realization that in its raw, natural state, it's just not good enough for the job. The whole journey has to start right here, by acknowledging this one fundamental truth. The quality of what you put in is going to define the quality of what you get out.
And this really gets to the heart of it. A machine learning model doesn't see the world like we do. It doesn't have common sense or intuition. Its entire universe, everything it will ever know, is the data set we hand it. So if that data is a skewed, flawed, or incomplete picture of reality, the model's understanding is going to be fundamentally broken from the start. High-quality data isn't a nice-to-have, it's completely non-negotiable.
Okay, so our hero has answered the call. The first trial is about to begin. And before this data can do anything cool or useful, it has to face a monster that lurks in pretty much every real-world data set you'll ever find, the duplicate.
And listen, this is no small beast. Imagine you're a data scientist, and your job is to sift through an 11-gigabyte file. That's huge, to find every single repeated entry. As one programmer on Reddit pointed out, trying to do this can just completely devour your computer's memory. It can take forever. It is a massive, practical, real-world headache.
So you might be thinking, what's the big deal with the few copies? Well, here's the problem. When a model sees the same piece of information over and over, it starts to think that information is more important or more common than it actually is. So if you look at this table, the AI might think that top entry is twice as significant as the bottom one, just because it showed up twice. That skews everything and leads to biased, inaccurate predictions.
So, how does our data hero defeat this monster? Well, it's a pretty logical three-step attack. First, you have to identify the duplicates using some kind of key, like a user ID or an email address. Then, you track down where all the copies are hiding. And finally, you make the call. Either delete the extra copies or merge them all into one clean, definitive record. And, just like that, monster defeated.
With the duplicates out of the way, our data hero levels up and moves on to the next boss battle. This time, it's the outliers. You know, those really strange, unexpected data points that just don't play by the rules and can throw off your entire analysis.
The big machine learning library scikit-learn defines an outlier really simply. It's just an observation that is far from the others. And I love this analogy they use. Think of a quiet library where everyone is whispering, and then one person just starts shouting at the top of their lungs. That person is the outlier. In your data, these outliers can totally distort things like averages and pull the model's attention away from the real, meaningful patterns.
Now here's a really important, kind of subtle distinction you need to know. On one hand, you've got outlier detection. That's for when you're digging through your messy training data, trying to find the weirdos that are already in there. On the other hand, you have novelty detection. That's when you've already cleaned your data, and now you want your system to be able to spot any new weirdos that show up down the line. Knowing which battle you're fighting is crucial, because it determines the weapons you're going to use.
All right, the monsters have been defeated. Our data hero has survived the trials. Now it's time for the transformation. It's time to level the playing field.
Okay, just take a look at this. Let's say we're trying to predict house prices. We've got two pieces of information: the number of bedrooms, which might be a small number like 3, and the square footage, which is a big number like 1,800. Now, to a simple algorithm, that massive number for square feet makes it look thousands of times more important than the number of bedrooms. The scale is all wrong, and the algorithm gets completely confused about what actually matters.
So, what's the fix? We have to get these features onto the same scale. And the magic wand for this transformation is a technique called min-max scaling. Don't worry too much about the formula, but what it does is mathematically squish every value for every feature into the same common range, usually between 0 and 1. It ensures that no single feature can bully the others just because its numbers happen to be bigger.
And here's the after picture. Look at that! After scaling, our features are finally on equal footing. The number of bedrooms might now be a 0.5, and the square footage might be a 0.8. They're in the same ballpark. Now the algorithm can actually judge them fairly based on their true predictive power, instead of being tricked by these arbitrary scales. The transformation is complete.
So, our data hero has fought off duplicates, it's battled the outliers, and it's gone through this huge transformation. So, what was the point? After all that hard work, what's the reward at the end of this journey?
Well, the payoff is everything, really. Clean, well-prepared data means you get way more accurate models. It helps reduce unwanted bias, which leads to fairer outcomes for everyone. It builds trust in the entire AI system because we can actually be confident in the results it's giving us. And as a bonus, it makes the whole thing run faster and more efficiently. This is why that unseen, often thankless work of data prep is probably the most important step in the entire process.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most important thought. This hero's journey for data isn't just some abstract technical exercise. It has massive real-world consequences. As AI plays a bigger and bigger role in our lives, deciding who gets a job, what medical treatment we get, even influencing our justice system, the quality of its data becomes a huge question of trust, ethics, and accountability. So I'll leave you with this. Who's responsible for making sure the data is clean? Is it the engineer, the company that birthed the AI, a government regulator? That's a question we all really need to start asking.